Here at Needful Things, we have the perfect thing for you. A hard-bodied girlfriend. And she's the best kind. Because not only is she hard-bodied, she has no head. The best kind of girlfriend. Can't complain. A friend of mine's house, and he's got a giant Mexican moose hound. He's eating chocolate mooses. He'll eat up all the chocolate mousse you give him. Hey, back here at the thrift shop, we found something really cool. Kids nowadays, they think, wow, these things are antique, you know, and it used to be a machine would pull this thing back, and right there is your tape that spins inside this. They call them floppies, but they weren't floppy at all. They're actually hard because they got the name floppy because of this even older one we found, which is floppy. It actually bends. It's a little disc that goes in here, and basically this is just a dust cover that keeps it off. And right there is your, I got to do that because I'm holding the camera with the other hand, is where the machine would go across and read it. And then later on they thought, we need to make something harder, smaller, holds more memory, and then it gets this. And it held sometimes up to 4 or 5 pictures. And these, you know, that's back when you had to go on your porn, look at your pictures and it'd go, and it'd take you 3 or 4 minutes, and it kept going, and eventually it'd have the whole picture down. And then you could load 3 or 4 of those on here. Unlike nowadays, huh? I got something else here for us. Look at this ferocious animal. It's got Keeler written all over him. 1 ear up, 1 down.
Yay!
Yeah, we always have something in here for the girls. Stay tuned. There's another thing you get at thrift shops when people bring in stuff. Used to be a thing called, back in my day, back in the 90s and just as it turned 2000, AOL used to send out what we call AOL Hell because it was nothing but trouble. Once you installed it, you could never get it off the computer. Used to send this stuff in the mail all the time. They'd come in cute little packages looking all exciting and all fun. They'd put things in here with the Raiders of the Lost Ark on it, which I got all kinds in here. Stacks of these things. And people would throw them away. Well, I collected them. I had hundreds and hundreds of these things. I'd say close to 1,000 easy of these things that I had. And what I did is I collected them because I'm an artist by trade. And I flipped them around and made this huge fish and started putting scales on it. It had this big scaled fish, which burned up with my house later on because I finished it shortly before the house burned. I was going to surprise my son with it. He never saw the thing. But anyway, they would send them out. They'd also send them these really nice tins that you could open up. I got to use 2 hands for this. Which you could open up and put stuff in. And the inside is just big enough to hold rolling papers and, credit cards and stuff like that. But people are using them left and right. And it's funny because you could slide it under your car seat or wherever it was in case you needed a credit card under your car seat. But anyway, they had this stuff. I know I make jokes with this stuff, but actually I never was a smoker. What I smoked in my life, you couldn't put in, I don't know, maybe the end of my finger because I'm what they call a paranoia smoker, and it drives me up. I can't even close my eyes. And I know I call it a paranoia smoker, which, I get paranoid like the cat knows I'm smoking. The cat don't care. But, I think he does. But, that kind of thing. But anyway, this is a little piece of history in here. But anyway, this is a little piece of history right here where these tins used to get sent and everything else, and people used to have them. And just thought I'd add that in. Stay tuned. Here's another piece of history we got here while we're in here. This is a Toshiba. And the cool thing about this whole Toshiba is, look at the size of this thing. And the way it opens up. It opens there and there. Whee. And there's your top. It opens up. This is the first laptop. Costing, you said about 8,000 something?
Yeah, with tax was over 8,000.
With tax, over $8,000 back in the day. This thing weighs about 10 pounds when you pick it up. This was the first laptop. Can you imagine dragging this thing around? Look at the size of it. And right here, look at the size of that massive battery. It goes further in than it is wide. But what's cool about it is not only does he have this antique like this, well, I'll put all this back later. You won't watch that and put it together. But it's a Toshiba right there. Toshiba. But anyway, on top of this, he still has all the floppy disks to it and the books to it. It's just amazing. And then I'll show you some other cool little piece he's got here too. Here's another laptop where you push this, and this here is a little different type model, but you push it, and look at that monster screen right here. This is back when they just had a cursor go across. The cursor's that little blinky, stripey thing that a lot of kids don't even know what most of that stuff is nowadays. They just go, oh, it's got an arrow on it. It's like, no, it's just a little tiny stripe.
They used to call it notebook.
Yeah, this was called the notebook. But this is another antique. But I just thought for giggles you could see this thing. This is the T50 5200. That's the name of it. Toshiba. And the thing weighs a ton. A little more history of a computer history. Showing that Toshiba weighed about 10 pounds and all that. The thing is, I'm a fan of Toshiba. There's my Toshiba there, and here's my Toshiba when I'm on the road. This is a Toshiba that does hundreds of things, thousands probably more than the other one. You can see where it says Toshiba there. And the other one's a Toshiba, as you can see down here. Anyway, it shows how things picked up in just a matter of just 20 years or so. And, well, actually, it's more than 20 years, but it's short while like that. And it's funny is I wonder what the heck's going to be around when my grandkids get my age. But stay in tune. I'll try to have more stuff on here about the antiques and other shows. Another piece of history. That I'm a shutterbug big time. I have cameras of all kinds, underwater cameras and cannons and all kinds of stuff. Aim cannons. Cannons that are powder loaded and cannons that are film loaded. But anyway, here's the thing here that comes in this. This is an 8mm film. You push this button here, and the handle comes out on it, locks in place. Right there, by pushing this button here. And there's your 8mm camera. You put film in it by pushing this piece here open. Put your film in there, and it'd flick across there. I think I'm getting this on film. It'd flick across here and onto the film, exposing it and allowing the film to be seen. Then you go home, put up a big screen thing, pull it across, and get your film projector that you can't touch the bulb on, otherwise the oil on your finger blows the bulbs out. And you sit there with kids and you film it, and as soon as the thing quits filming, it eats your film up because the heat bulb burns it up. But anyway, this is the fun stuff we had to do before we had VCRs and all this fun stuff of recording them. Oh, this is not that old, but this is still old. The old cell phones.
Ericsson.
An Ericsson?
Yep.
An Ericsson cell phone. I remember using these things when they were like 3 times bigger than this and had a battery in the back. The battery was twice this size. And that was just the battery. And you carried it around, everybody thought, oh, he's rich. He's got a $600 phone bill and all this. Is like, no, we're not rich because the phone company's making all the money. I'm poor. It's funny. I'm back out here in the woods where I started Hiker Bob about a year ago. And in the woods in here, I started a thing about getting lost between the trees, about the moss being on the outside of the trees and how to find your way around and act like I got lost. But anyway, I had a good time with that. But since then, I got to know some people out here, and they told me about these bottles that they put out here as kids, that they put out here back in like 05 or 06. And it's so funny because, I don't know if you can really see them, but right there and there, these 2 bottles have been sitting out here in the woods since then, and this is now 2015. So about 10 years, almost 10 years, these bottles are right at 10 years, because it's, 05, 06 when they put them out here. And it's just funny how they're still sitting out there, so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to put that down in there, especially for you guys that put it there. They're still there. When you first see things at first, you might look like perverts, because, we have black girl torsos, we have white girl torsos, we have girls that are wired, and then even for those special occasions, we have these things. Actually, when it gets down to it, these are for modeling freaking clothes, those are for modeling clothes, and this is actually an aquarium holder. It sucks rocks out of the bottom of the aquarium and cleans your aquariums out. But it looks perverted at first. Well, here's something you don't see too often, but I figured I'd pick it up and show you. This is what we call June bugs. The males have 3 big horns on them, also known as, the nickname is the rhinoceros beetle. Triceratops, a whole bunch of nicknames we give them, but I don't know the true name of them other than June bug. But they're very, very strong. You try to hold them between your fingers, and they'll pull and all, but they can't bite you if they wanted to. They don't have any mouth to bite with. The thing is, what's really cool about them is that we used to take and tie shoestrings to them, strings to them and stuff, and put them in this is a female, by the way, but we used to put old matchboxes and put rocks in them and tie strings around here, and we'd have tractor pulls with them. They'd pull the matchboxes, we'd see how many rocks we could put in it, and how many rocks the other one could pull and the other one couldn't, before they just started spinning out in the dirt. But they'd put them in grass, they could always grab them, they'd pull that matchbox full of rocks across anything. They're strong as all get out. The fact that with a man's fingers holding them down like this, they can actually take those things on the side and push your fingers apart. They're actually very, very strong. But I don't see many of those anymore. But the males have a big horn out the top and 2 horns sticking on this side, and they look like a triceratops. And as you can see, they're a good-sized beetle. So you're driving a motorcycle and they slam you in the head, you know something. But there's a little piece of something for you. Okay, earlier, and this is nighttime out here, I hear something smacking the side of the building here, and I pick it up, and I found the male June bug, which I don't know if we can see it good and clear, but he has the little horns I was talking about. Right there. And you can see, you can pick them up. But you don't see many males, but they have the horns. And this is pretty, beautiful red. Look to them. They don't hurt you. They're very harmless. And anyway, here's a male one. And it's funny, I don't see them too often anymore. And all of a sudden today, for the YouTube thing, I get to get a male and female, which I think is cool as all get out. But you can see they don't even have pinchers or anything. They're nothing to actually bite you with. I don't know how they actually eat. They don't have mandibles like other bugs. But I think they're so cool because they have these horns that stick out like a triceratops. But they're cool as all get out. So anyway, there's the male for you to go with the female I showed you earlier. Well, I'm out here in a friend of mine's outside of Joe Ware, just down the road where I go hiking down that road. But many places out here I go hiking, but I showed you the thing on the beetles and stuff. Here's something else cool. These are sandhill cranes. Him and her. They're actually very big birds. And they're pretty tame, actually. They'll let you get pretty close to them. And they just sit there. But they're almost chest height to me. They're about 3 foot birds. Beautiful birds though, but they're everywhere out here. See, there's him and her, or her and him. I'm not good enough to know the difference between a male and female on them, but I hope they know the difference. But once a year, earlier this year, they already had a chick, and they chased it off because it got too big. But they'll run around with one chick, and it'll run around and feed with them until around July or August or whatever, and they chase it off, and then it's just back to the 2 of them again. And they come through here every day looking for bugs. And they're quite beautiful birds. But these are the same things you see in those Chinese pictures where they show them in China and stuff when they're running around. But they're all over Pasco County and all this out here. In fact, they have to put sandhill crane crossings up because people will run over them. There we go. They'll eat just about anything you toss out there. So I got some food for pigeons. I thought, well, if it feeds pigeons, it ought to feed them. I can prop the bowl up just right. me throw it out there. Let's step back a little bit over here, because I don't want to get too used to being around people. But there they go. So, oh boy, food. There you go. And the other one's coming over now. Yeah, oh, okay. There we go. Yep. And here's sandhill cranes feeding. But I love nature out here. But out here, we got a lot of woods around here, like the people across the street here, actually right behind me. All of that back there, and all the way here, and then all the way down that street. And I don't mean just one little block. It's like probably equivalent of about 5 or 6 blocks on a normal place. It's all owned by one person. Quite a few hundred acres I get to roam around and play in. Then across the street from that, a couple of thousand. And then if I go up the road here a little bit, I can actually hike around and go as far as up to almost 50 miles straight, unbroken, along the Gulf line, owned by Swift Mud, all the way up to Old Homosassa. So, and that's just some of the long areas I can go in here. And I want to start putting wildlife, such as my buddies over here, the sandhill cranes. I want to try to get some deer. I got some of the beetles. I got all kind of insect stuff. I'm pretty heavy on insects. Collect insects. It sounds funny, but I do. But I want to start putting all kind of nature stuff out here. It's amazing what these things are carved out of. The back of a palm tree.
Yeah.
From that falls off. They just took and carved it and made that out of it.
Yeah. It's
about time. Now, it's storming like mad out here, but back to you, Bob. Stormy weather. 1:30 in the afternoon, and it looks like it's about 7:30. You just take a peek out there at all this beautiful weather. But that's what it's like here at the shop. So, have a good day. Fun thing about working around an old thrift shop, in the background digging around, 8 tracks. Those are the days. I remember when this used to be locked it in. And music I used to listen to on these things. Think about needful things at the thrift shop. 8 tracks. But yeah, the cool thing about these is you just don't see these anymore. I'm working in the rain. Too dumb to get in the house. Got me a new white girlfriend. She's a hard body. I just wondered for her body. The best part, has no head, it can't talk. Hi, this is what they call the silly titty, because it's a light that looks like a, you know, so they call them silly titties. But do you have a silly titty too? A silly, yeah. See how hard it is?